This is VSN2030 via Twitter Spaces, via Bola Twitter Spaces. Hosting is myself, Yunus. Our guest is the CEO of Data Sukan, Shamil. This session, under normal circumstances, we'll be talking about specific or particular issues in the sports industry. But after two Twitter Spaces, we've kind of got a lot of questions. About from people asking, what is VC Sukan Negara 2030, right? What is it about? What is it trying to achieve? General FAQs like that. So that's why this week we decided to make it a bit more general. We just want to talk about VSN 2030. If you look at the title, it's called VSN 2030 Amende. So quickly, let's go straight to Shamil from Data Sukan. Data Sukan is the organization that is responsible for the comms, for the strategic comms of VSN 2030, especially in regards to the canvassing project that is going on at the moment. So let's go straight to Shamil. Shamil, share with us, mate, about what is the aspiration behind the VSN 2030. Let's start from that first.
Okay. Assalamualaikum. Good evening, everyone. And allow me to introduce myself, Yunus. I am Shamil Yusof. I'm currently the CEO of Data Sukan as well as the National Sports Digital Transformation Centre. We are a subsidiary of Institute Sukan Negara, ISN, and as a result, we are a related subsidiary of Kementerian Belia dan Sukan as well. So, as explained, we are very proud to be part of the Secretariat for VC Sukan Negara 2030, the National Sports Vision 2030. So, to extrapolate further, if I may start with explaining Amende, what is VSN 2030? I believe some of you have been seeing, so I hope they have been seeing some traction that we've been gaining on social media, and most importantly, the communications that we have been attempting to establish with the majority of stakeholders in Malaysian sports. So, yeah, VC Sukan Negara. This is what we're here for, and I'd love to explain more.
Okay, So Shamil, can you ask me like what's Data Sukan's involvement in this entire project?
Okay. Data Sukan is basically we are a subsidiary who deals within the areas of data analytics as well as technology in sports. Yeah? So we've been entrusted with propagating a fertile environment for the use of data analysis, big data analytics, peak performance analysis for marginal gains, which is to be used for Malaysian sports. So basically, we understood that from a data and technology punya perspective, we are severely left behind, bro. Right, from a global punya perspective. So, Data Sukan created to activate the use of data and sports tech within our local sports landscape.
Okay, all right. And specifically for VSN, you guys are collecting the data, insights, or opinions of members of the public throughout this canvassing period, right?
Yeah.
Okay, how long are you guys commissioned to do this? How long is the canvassing period?
The canvassing period will be up until October of this year. And basically, just to extrapolate further, Data Sukan, being a subsidiary of Institute Sukan Negara, has also been tasked and mandated with basically being in the secretariat for VC Sukan Negara. So specifically, kita ni ditugaskan to collect and engage with all the stakeholders, as I mentioned before, up until October, bro. So via a few methods of engagement. So kita pakai portal. The official portal website is VSN2030.my, and we also are in the midst, okay, actually from last year, August last year, kita dah start buat banyak full series of engagement and town halls and all. So from August last year, we have been engaging with people from the academic punya side, from the sports industry players, sports technology punya proponents, as well as the more obvious punya people from the sports ecosystem, namely the athletes, coaches and management and whatnot.
And I also noticed that I think sometime around early this year, I think the first quarter of 2021, what KBS did was they gathered a few key opinion leaders from the industry to form a group of experts or something like that. I'm not really sure what it's called, mate. Can you just clarify? Are they together helping you guys with driving Visi Sukanegara?
Yes, they are. So KBS, and in trying to keep up with the relevance of the industry and all. Actually, to be honest, if I may first echo, let me parrot the minister dulu. Dia started off when he launched this canvas Visi Sukanegara on the 7th of April. The start of his speech really spoke to all of us, because he said that we must understand that the days where the government knows everything, the government knows what to do, the government knows what's best for you, the government knows what policies and laws are best to enact, is over. So, Yang Berhormat Menteri was saying that, from a sports and youth perspective, we are trying to rehash, to reinvigorate all our endeavors, up to now, all our efforts, because we don't want to start by reinventing the wheel. However, we realize that there has been a lot of dasar and policy. I know everyone fed up dengan dasar this, policy that, but it is a very necessary evil for us to chart out the journey ahead. So in the sense of Visi Sukanegara ni, it is basically an initiative by the Ministry of Youth and Sports in the midst of developing the national sports vision that will drive this nation punya sporting future for the decade to come. So how we plan to do that is not through the old obvious punya methods of Malaysia cerdas, kekal cerdas, active. So we understand that is the crux of what we are trying to say, but we want to, or rather we are engaging with everyone to understand how best to do it, how best to get everyone on board, because sport belongs to everyone. This is beyond all the other roadmaps. We strongly believe that everybody owns sports. Everybody is a stakeholder in sports, bro. Whether you're a 16-year-old football player in school, or you're a 74-year-old wushu tai chi punya practitioner, you have as much say in sports as the next fella or lady. So speaking about Visi Sukan ni, very sensitive. It's a topic owned by everyone. That's why in this canvas we want to speak to everyone. We welcome all feedback and input.
Yeah, I guess that's right. Like Shamil, like everyone feels some kind of ownership or belonging when you talk about sports, and that's why there's a lot of people who tends to, question, want to talk about it, and be part of your engagements. How encouraging has the engagements been so far? Apart from Twitter Spaces, you guys been doing like Libat Urus, you guys have been doing your town halls. Yeah. So how has the engagement been like? How encouraging has it been so far?
It's been actually quite splendid. We expected less. Living in these very extraordinary times, ni bro, we have found that engagement is a double-edged sword. However,
Double-edged sword.
double-edged sword, because we find it difficult to get people to talk, for a plethora of reasons, combination of reasons. Tapi basically Malaysians are very blasé. Dia, because of social media, the maturity of the social interaction tu, Malaysians ni dia susah nak impress tau, we can't blame. We are also Malaysians. We are also very urban, and we have seen many a dasar and policy come and go. I myself pun dah tengok banyak gila dasar come and go. Some short sendiri, some effective, but rata-rata mostly not having fulfilled its full potential. To fulfill the full potential tu, we need the buy-in of everyone. So hence, with this VC ni, that's really, really what we're trying to do.
All right, that's right. Just before we go on, to all the listeners, our guest speaker here right now is Shamil, CEO of Data Sukan. If you guys have any questions or any remarks that you guys want to make about VC Sukan Negara, want to know more about what is VC Sukan Negara, Shamil, myself, will be here to share a bit about what VSN 2030 is. Feel free to ask questions. If in order for you to do so, just simply show of hand, and I will bump you up as a speaker for you to start asking questions. As Shamil mentioned earlier on, the most important thing about VC Sukan Negara at this moment is the canvassing period, right? And this canvassing period is a moment whereby a lot of you guys, we are desperately expecting opinions and insight for you guys, so that not us, not the government, but the people themselves who are involved in shaping the policies or the blueprint inherent within VC Sukan Negara 2030. All right. Shamil.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. I thought I lost you.
Still here. Belum lari lagi.
Twitter Spaces is kind of unstable a bit, right? Because happened last week, so I'm kind of getting worried once in a while that I might lose you.
I'm still here. I hope everyone who's listening will ask difficult questions, because this is what the dialogue is for, bro. We want to move past this old governmental punya regime in sports, and we really want to refresh in the entire landscape. So time to ask the difficult questions. Mari.
Yeah, while we wait for the difficult questions, let's just give another insight about what VC Sukan Negara is. There are 6 pillars in VC Sukan Negara. Can you share quickly with us a bit about all the 6 pillars?
Okay. Very quickly.
Yeah,
there are 6 major pillars, which is non-exhaustive. Maksudnya, we needed to develop a compass of where we were going. We needed to find the true north of this vision. So what we did was we studied the global landscape, we studied the regional punya situation, and came up with a diagnostic analysis of what Malaysia is going through right now from a regional and also domestic perspective. So having said that, we are basing our engagement in Canvas VC Sukan Negara ni via 6 focus areas. To begin with is, number 1, sporting culture, which is pembudayaan sukan. It's basically to help promote sports culture as a lifestyle for all Malaysians. Okay, how is by enhancing sports ecosystems to be inclusive and community friendly. So that's the basis of sporting culture. Second is sporting excellence, talking about medals, talking about success on the global stage. However, we are taking a new perspective, we are taking a new POV. We don't want to throw money anymore at the problem. Kita tak nak try to beli medal, because all these years kita try pun tak dapat juga gold medal. And where sporting excellence is concerned, kita nak try decentralize the focus on traditional sport dan nak fokus on new and emerging sports as well. Fokus area ketiga adalah talent development. It's pembangunan bakat. Okay, talent identification and development. Something which we feel is one of the most important facets of how we are going to build an agile and sporting Malaysia. Number 4 would be sporting hub, which is hub sukan. Okay. Very important for me to share with all of you that kita sekarang ni from KPS punya perspektif, hub sukan is no more about stadium besar, buat stadium, build stadiums and they will come. No more about large complexes alone. However, it is to improve the environment for professional services in sports. So talking about, not just the athletes themselves, not just coaches ke apa semua, but we want to create a hub that includes people want to come here because it has good sports lawyers, sports psychologists, sports nutritionists, sports media consultants. So all of those elements will define a sporting hub. That's 4, yeah? Sporting culture, sporting excellence, talent development, and sporting hub. 2 more left. The number 5 is sports industry empowerment. Okay. Sekarang ni very, very sensitive, most sports industry, my peers, my allies, my friends, my contemporaries are all very, very angry at the government right now.
Why is that?
To many extent, so am I. So this is referring to the SOP, in terms of SOP that is directly directly implicative to the sports industry. For example, we cannot deny how come bila lockdown ke apa, sports is the first to close, and bila lift up ke apa, sports is the last to be lifted. Several arguments, which is very accurate argument sebenarnya. Tak ada kluster sukan, tak ada kluster futsal, kluster bola sepak, kluster all these things. So if ada pun, it will be under very controlled punya environments, because the keahlian or participation of sports tu quite controlled. So there have been numerous communications with MKN and all. We are not blaming, we are not shifting the blame. However, ada pertembungan lah bro, between keperluan bisnes, keperluan komersial dan juga keselamatan am. So that's where we cannot comment so much lah. But we want to create a sports industry that is conducive for all. We want to fund startups. We want to help technologies. We want to accelerate tech and emerging innovations. So that's number 5, sports industry empowerment. And finally, last but not least,
professionalism in sports.
Yes, sir. This is the biggest challenge. So when we speak about professionalism, it has the pillars of integrity and also efficiency. So I cannot say I question the integrity of my predecessors. However, it is the image of the government, the image of the administrators within sports, the governors within sports, and as well as the national sporting associations, okay, the people who administer the rules and govern the sports. We must admit that we have a very bad image lah. Yeah. So I would say that it's deserved, because sports is a simple, universal, tangent that anyone can master. So I believe that the sports commissioner should be there to simplify matters, and hence KBS is taking a very, very active punya role lah, to understand how better we can form balik all this NSA punya structure, all this the administering of funds and acceptance punya mechanisms in sports. Yeah? When we talk about acceptance mechanisms, is the cycle of the athlete or potential athlete going through education, the cycles. So we're trying to change all of that, bro. So sorry, aku ramble on a bit, but those are the 6 key focus areas in VSN.
And that is still very brief, Shamil? Because if given more time, you would probably spend the entire hour of this program talking about it. So you're being kind.
Yes,
here.
sir.
I understand.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, mate.
Yes. Itulah kelakarnya, because it's not rocket science. To everyone listening, I just want to share that what we are doing can be done by many other people. We have cohorts, we have, friendly parties. I want to mention people like Sportswork, who has been in the industry for so long. And they are very openly, even across, commercial territories and whatever, borders ke apa, they work closely with us, Data Sukan, with Team KPS, to together try to shape this perspective of how we should be. You see, so from a governance point of view pun, is very, very positive. So healthy to see that there is very healthy dialogue, there's positive discourse. So when I speak about positive pun, kadang-kadang bunyi macam memekik, melolong, macam marah, maki caci semua. But it is a very diplomatic, no, it's a democratic discussion sebenarnya. It's a very necessary discussion that memang kena lah. Basically, kita nak buat benda ni, we need to be challenged. We know that aku tak boleh just buat dasar, KBS tak boleh just buat dasar, release, with all the confetti.
Hello, mate. You're still there, right? Shamil, did you drop your mic? Okay. All right, guys. While we wait for Shamil to, fix the technicalities that he's facing at the moment, just want to remind you guys, this is VSN2030 via Twitter Spaces, hosted by Bahas Bola. The topic is VSN2030 Amende ni. So with me is our guest speaker, Shamil, CEO of Data Sukan. They are a subsidiary of ISN/KBS, of course, which has been commissioned to gather as much insights and opinion, be involved, had civic engagement, public engagement throughout this canvassing period. If you were with us earlier, you would know that the canvassing period is started all the way in August 2020 and will continue all the way to October 2021. So we have still a lot of time to share our aspirations and help shape the future of Malaysian sports. Again, if you guys have any questions that you'd like to ask, make any remarks, please feel free to do so. Shamil is here to address that. If not, I'm here to do so. We got a request here. Mag. Wait, Mag, let me just add you as a speaker. Shamil, are you there? Have you sorted out?
Yes, sir.
You dropped your mic, is it?
Yes, I'm here. No, something went wrong.
Macam artis drop mic. Hey Mag, are you there, Mag?
Bro Max, Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you, Syamil. Thank you, Bahas Bola. Yunus.
No worries, man. No worries. Shoot, man. Shoot. What your question or any remarks that you want to make? Please share with us.
Okay, bahasa Melayu okay Yunus?
Boleh, bro.
Boleh. Go.
Okay, Alhamdulillah lah. Aku sepatutnya berada dekat China, dekat Guangzhou. Tapi sebab pandemik, aku terkandas dekat Malaysia. Dan Alhamdulillah, aku pernah dijemput oleh Selangor FC pergi perjumpaan management dengan fans. Jadi itu pertama kali aku berjumpa dengan orang-orang hebat, orang-orang atas pentas ni. Kemudian alhamdulillah ada sesi soal jawab dengan antara fans dengan management. Dan aku rasa event macam tu sangat bagus diselalukan. Okay. Kemudian aku angkat tangan, aku tanya saudara Izhar Muslim. Beliau sangat bagus dalam buat planning untuk buat dana untuk kelab. Depan dia aku tak boleh cerita banyak, tapi soalan aku adalah aku tanya kepada saudara Izhar Muslim, apa yang fans boleh buat untuk bantu kelab? Dan ini bukan sesuatu yang macam nak cakap personal, tak. Tapi mungkin malam tu jawapan daripada saudara Izhar Muslim tu aku tak berapa puas hati. Bukan apa-apalah, jangan salah faham. Cuma jawapan beliau daripada soalan yang aku tanya, apa yang fans boleh bantu untuk mengembangkan kelab bola sepak Selangor, membantu lagi kelab bola sepak Selangor dari segi apa lagi yang kita boleh bantu fans ni. Dan saudara Izhar Muslim menjawab dengan soalan yang agak pendek. Dia bagi tahu, inilah yang you guys yang tengah buat sekarang ni lah, ini yang kami perlu. Okay, mungkin Izhar Muslim punya jawapan tu tak berapa panjang, tak berapa memuaskan hati saya. Tapi apa yang beliau masukkan adalah datang stadium, beli merchandise, beli jersey kits, berikan sokongan kepada players. So selama saya perhatikan Yunus dengan Syamil, saya perhatikan dunia sukan dekat Malaysia ni, especially bola lah. Ada sedikit rasa cemburu dengan dunia luar Malaysia. Even sedekat-dekat Thailand, sedekat-dekat Indonesia, kita tak perlu cakap Borussia Dortmund punya fans, kita tak perlu cakap EPL punya fans. So apa sebenarnya, mungkin host malam ni atau Syamil sendiri boleh bagi sepatah dua kata, apa sebenarnya yang fans boleh bantu penonton, penyokong yang kita yang biasa-biasa ni, yang tak ada knowledge yang mendalam, tak ada profesionalisme. Apa yang kita boleh bantu untuk menaik taraf sukan-sukan kita ni? Contoh macam saya sendiri, saya memang tak ada apa-apa. Saya sendiri tak ada apa-apa knowledge dalam hal bola sepak. Tapi bila berjumpa orang macam Yunus, berjumpa orang macam Azri, berjumpa orang macam Wazin, kemudian alhamdulillah dijemput ke manajemen Selangor dengan fans, saya nampak banyak sangat benda yang fans tak terdidik tau, orang Malaysia ni, fans Malaysia ni. So mungkin orang-orang dalam ni yang sedang mendengar, saya rasa malam ni punya pendengar ramai orang-orang yang hebat yang perlu bersuara untuk perubahan. So Yunus, itu saja soalan saya. Mungkin you boleh kongsikan something ke Syamil ke, sebab itu yang saya nak. Itu yang saya nak nampak perubahan dalam dunia sukan kita ni. Saya teringin sangat nak tengok Selangor punya fans tu sekuat Dortmund. Macam tu contohnya.
Alright, thank you, Mac. Syamil.
Brilliant.
Syamil, I know you have something to say.
I do.
Go ahead,
Okay. Kalau ni soalan PMR ataupun SPM, Mac, aku jawab dalam dua section yang berbeza lah. Section yang pertama, merujuk kepada session you, I nak puji sikit kepada Selangor FC, kerana bukan saja pasal Selangor dekat ni dalam ni, tapi pasal memang saya ni Selangor punya supporter lah. So I nak puji you all for having those town halls, having those engagement dengan fans. Is something that kita that inspires us, dan kita juga cuba emulate lah when we speak to people on the pretext of visi sukan negara. So Matt, bab Izhar tu, admin Wazin bagi tahu lah Izhar yang dia boleh datang ke data sukan lepas ni, and data sukan might be able to provide a better answer.
Jangan salah faham perbualan saya dengan Izhar Muslim. Saya
Faham bro. Understand. Saja je buat free plug saya punya produk.
Mungkin saya
low blow.
We are friends.
Mungkin saya punya harapan tu tinggi sangat.
Betul. We are friends. I think Dr. Johan, Izhar and Nabil is doing a splendid job kat Selangor. And yeah. So to jawab that, bro, it is a question that has an answer which is intertwined with all the layers dalam sports punya ecosystem. Okay, saya mula daripada paling atas sekali. Okay? When you talk about, if you talk about Selangor as a franchise, as a brand, dia club, sekarang private club. So they are the masters of their own brand. Okay, so the engagement of fans, the engagement of the commercial side to become a commercial entity is fully up to them. So itu yang I nampak ada disconnect sikit, because fans Malaysia and as well as fans regional or fans dunia pun always want to connect, always want to improve their engagement. Okay, dia benda yang sangat apparent, iaitu forever kita beli jersey, forever kita consume bola tu, forever kita bodoh pergi tengok friendly. I'm sorry lah, but sometimes kita punya loyalty ni buta, bro. I'm a Liverpool fan, 30 tahun suffer. So, yeah, but of course last year ada silver lining, sweet silver song of a lark. Jadi ceritanya fans kita memang the basic model of consumption adalah beli jersey, datang game, beli F&B dekat game tu semua, beli memorabilia, merchandise dan paraphernalia yang lain. Okay, itu the most classic consumption model. Tapi dalam this day and age, we have what you call the media punya consumption side. So, clubs, businesses, clubs from EPL, Bundesliga semua, you can see that they are taking a world view of D2C. D2C ni is a concept in marketing, strategic marketing called direct to consumer. Essentially, what it means is, bro, kita remove lah warehouse tu. Clubs speak directly to fans. Via social media, clubs sekarang ni, European clubs lah, obviously, prefer to sell direct to fans because diorang tak perlu nak bayar middleman punya duit, tak perlu nak bayar retailer punya offset that cost tu. So, what they have done is they've actually dropped the prices of jerseys, of merchandise. Ini you boleh refer to second, I won't call it second tier, tapi the more medium, small to medium sized clubs in La Liga and Serie A especially. You can see that the merchandising has, diorang ada self-imposed ceiling tau bro. So what happens is orang tak sakit hati lah. Macam EPL, you tengok ticket prices, the growth in ticket prices in the last decade or so, dah ada some clubs 45%. Tak nak sebut lah club mana. Tapi club, boleh sebut lah club daripada Manchester lah, warna merah kan. 45% of an increase in ticket prices. However, diorang juga ada exponential increase in seat punya total. So, ada balance di situ. Sorry lah, I veer away. But again, to answer, kita as fans ni, kita need more. Kita tak boleh just beli, rather than beli 2 jersey, takkan nak beli 6 jersey kot kan. So how do we consume? We need more content. We need better engagement. We need more things to consume lah. So on the other flip side pula, tak boleh lah Selangor or any club for that matter just throw out merchandise just for the bloody sake of it. Lepas keluar baju, keluar muffler. Lepas keluar muffler, keluar face mask. Lepas keluar face mask, lagi sekali. So, I'm not sure you guys can hear me still. Okay, so basically, there needs to be better data.
We can.
You can, okay. There needs to be better fan engagement. So, yang ni pun I nak plug my own company lah. It's basically, you need to give the fans more quality and more engaging data. You can look at NBA, you can look at One FC, you can look at a lot of other very successful franchises across the world. For football, tak boleh tengok jauh. Tengok J-League dengan tengok Bundesliga. Their level of engagement, their content, the level of orang panggil dynamic content is legend. Wait for it. Legendary, guys. So you look at Harakishi, there's a new channel under J-League, and then Bundesliga's use of data analytics to come up with very engaging content. Dia satu video, okay, I take for example broadcast match is broadcast match. Itu satu produk. Tapi the content, the highlights, the gaduhs, the orang menjerit apa, those are all the dynamic content that needs to be marketed. Itu yang kita boleh engage, yang boleh consume. Jadi kelab-kelab kat Malaysia ni, I nampak, of course, Selangor, JDT, they're becoming very much more progressive in terms of embracing new products. Each club ada dia punya own way of doing it. Tapi we see that the start of the trend is there. Lama-lama lagi, Mac, then you can start looking at other ancillary punya products lah bro. Then barulah boleh buat trip, kalau insyaAllah COVID ni belah satu hari kan, kalau hidup dah kembali normal, then you can do trips, you can do boutique packages, whether tourism or whether even educational. The possibilities are endless bro. So kita nak jawabnya, club kena offer a better range of products and services for fans like us to consume, dan even the administrators dan governors dalam sport pun nak want this to happen lah bro. Diorang kena want to bantu the industry, bantu the club punya ecosystem for them to be able to grow as brands like that lah. Itu jawapannya.
Alright. Wow, panjang sebenarnya. But thanks, mate. I like to add a bit, Mac. Bila kita dengar jawapan daripada Syamil tu, it's very commercial driven. That means, and it's correct. It's definitely correct. A lot of clubs, and we're not just talking about football. We're talking about any sports association of clubs. They need to provide a huge range of products, services, commercial products and services that would allow the fans to be more participative with the commercial activities of the clubs. But having said so, there are also non-tangible activities that needs to be done by these clubs. And these non-tangible activities would normally target to enhance the sense of belonging or affinity of the fans towards the club. I want to mention, Shamil mentioned about Selangor because he's a big fan of Selangor. I want to mention about JDT because I was born in Johor, right? And I want to mention that they did something recently which is quite progressive, which is the introduction of fans into the decision-making processes of the club. This is something that you can also see in a lot of clubs in Europe. I think, especially after the fall of the European Super League proposal, clubs like Chelsea immediately came up with a window whereby they allowed 3 members of their fan association to be involved in the board. So these kinds of activities, what it does is that it allows people, or it allows the fans to have a greater sense of belonging to the club, giving them more sense of need or sense of want to participate and consume more of the activations of activity that surrounds the club. So I think it's a bit of both commercial as well as non-commercial activity. That's what I hope the both of us have answered your question to a certain extent, Matt.
Ya, betul. Dia macam ni, Yunus. Bila aku tengok bola ni, aku yalah, mungkin korang nampak daripada struktur yang governance, yang manage dekat atas tu, yang siapa yang manage kelab bola tu yang patut menggerakkan kelab bola tu. Tapi yang aku nampak adalah fans juga, dia sebagai batu asas, dia sebagai satu suara juga. Macam kau cakap, macam cerita Super League dekat Europe tu, fans bersuara, keputusan berubah. Macam tu yang aku nak dekat Malaysia tau. Sebab waktu aku join management meeting dengan fans Selangor, dengan management Selangor, banyak sangat benda yang aku rasa membuka kepala aku tau. Bila orang-orang Dr. Johan, Izzah Muslim dengan dua coach bersuara dekat atas aku, dalam kepala aku dekat bawah, macam benda ni macam ramai tak tahu, macam ramai fans Selangor tak terdidik apa yang diorang cakap. So aku berharap akaun FS Selangor pun ada dalam ni. Aku berharap benda tu diperbanyakkan lagi. Perlu ada engagement dengan management, fans dengan management. Sebab aku rasa kita fans ramai tapi mungkin tak terdidik tau. Diorang tak faham. Contoh macam pembangunan akar umbi ni, contoh macam dana kerajaan ni. Aku rasa ramai tak faham. Yang diorang tahu Selangor negeri kelahiran aku beli tiket, aku support. Tapi untuk mendidik lebih lagi, aku rasa perlu lebih banyak pendedahan macam yang aku alami lah. Itu saja, Yunus.
Okay. Thanks Mac.
Terbaik. Thank you.
Bagi aku fan yang paling penting untuk fans atau spectator sukan atau people who are involved in sports, I think the most important thing is participation lah. Tapi apa specific participation activities ni ada banyak, Mac, dan dia bergantung kepada jenis. If you go and look at studies pun, fans taxonomy pun ada, there's an argument, there's a debate, there are 4 types of fans, 6, and there's 8 types of fans, jadi banyak. And this type of fans punya level of commitment, amount of consumption, spending patterns, semua berbeza. But all in all, what people expect is some kind of participation, of involvement of these people. So for instance, and governments or people in leadership position, the role diorang adalah to encourage participation and involvement. So contohnya macam kita bagi tax rebates, right? So it's 500 ringgit now. So that's the tax rebate that is allowed. So meaning that you can spend like 500 ringgit in a year for all your sporting activities, and that's a rebate on whatever tax that you're paying. If you want to encourage more, then you introduce a higher amount of rebate, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 rather than just hundreds, kan? So ada banyak cara sebagai fan kita boleh participate, dan bagi decision makers ni, it's about creating policies to encourage that participation. I think Mac, you are very fortunate lah, because you are involved in Selangor. Selangor is very progressive in driving or encouraging that kind of participation and involvement from the people. To a certain extent, I do understand why Izhar's punya answer might be really short, because the solution is endless, and it all depends on the type of fans and audience that you have.
Satu soalan. Yunus,
Boleh.
Syamil boleh jawab lah.
Okay, boleh.
Korang rasa dekat Malaysia ni sukan apa yang dia bermula daripada bawah, yang betul-betul ada, macam mana nak cakap rakyat ni sendiri yang gerakkan, fans sendiri yang gerakkan sukan tu. Korang rasa apa? Sebab yang aku nampak hoki, yang aku nampak rugby, diorang dia nampak macam independen dan diorang boleh bergerak sendiri. Mungkin korang boleh kongsikan lah, sebab aku banyak terdedah dengan bola saja.
Okay, jawapan saya tu basically almost semua sukan lah bro. Kecuali badminton dan bola sepak lah. So kita, which brings us to the question lah, Matt. Kenapa saya ambil rugby lah as an example. Kita very successful at rugby. Kalau kita buat spending versus success ratio untuk rugby, memang off the charts lah bro. Memang lari gila lah.
Syamil, kenapa tak ada orang buat perbandingan tu? Aku ni baru ni je, lepas waktu Malaysia kalah 4-0 tu, baru meletup Twitter ni, orang cakap bola Malaysia ni hancur lah, tengok rugby macam mana, berapa ranking dunia tu, padahal spending tak banyak. Okey, kenapa isu tu tak diwar-warkan? Kenapa tak ada perbandingan?
Sebenarnya aku faham sebenarnya isu tu di dalam komuniti rugby adalah isu yang berusia lebih daripada 1 dekad bro. I come from Maktab Tentera Diraja RMC. I was a rugby player younger days. So even from those days pun memang nampak that talent development punya pathway tu nak jadi, kalaulah nak jadi rugby punya professional player versus football punya professional player, masa tu tak ada proper pathway. Dia masih cowboy punya sport. Okay? And in the last 5 ke 8 tahun ni pun, aku betul-betul kena credit the NSAs, the state punya federations. You talk about the private clubs in rugby lah, of course. Kita tengok NS Wanderers, kita tengok people like Cobra, RSC, kita tengok academic institutions macam UiTM. Diorang ni, Akar Umbi ni, you are right, they are the grassroots yang responsible for the crop of talent yang kita ada sekarang ni. Jadi bila soalan tu diunjurkan kepada bola sepak pula, itulah jadi the assumption remains the same, because the federation is ultimately the one responsible for the sport. So macam aku jawab tadi Matt tu, actually bila aku jawab about, yalah tadi aku lapis sikit, but now let's just give it lah. It's about the acceptance tu kena dari top to bottom to top. So the governors, the administrators must want this assimilation to happen. Sport apa kat Malaysia yang paling wide dan netball sebenarnya. Bola sepak untuk lelaki dan netball untuk perempuan. This is by numbers ya bro. So jangan ambil demographics of race ke apa semua lah. So if you look at that, kenapa bola sepak dengan netball is far from being, bola sepak is the most popular, yes, but netball is not the most popular. So itu pun satu soalan yang kita cuba jawab juga. It's actually because of the struktur yang tertutup, hierarchy yang tak fully clear, no clarity in the hierarchy of talent development and advancement. That's the main reason why we have the attrition rate, iaitu dropout rate yang sangat tinggi. So when you speak to Fariha, you speak to Fazlun, all netball players that kita been honoured to be able to speak to, jawapan yang almost the same semua. The inclusion within the sport, the actual opportunity dalam sport tu, Mac. Jadi nak menutup soalan ni ataupun nak summationkan semua, VC Sukan Negara ni is something that wants to develop satu perspektif yang decentralized bro. Kita tahu football important. Kita bukan nak tirikan football ataupun kurangkan football ke apa, tapi kita nak ensure equal attention, equal support for all the other emerging sport. Cakap senang, yes, but somehow in the next few years kita nak create an environment where tag ball ataupun sukan-sukan lain, sepak takraw, ping pong semua will be treated in the same breadth and respect as bola sepak pun. So that is the pendemokrasian sukan yang kami dimandatkan lah dalam visi Sukan Negara ni.
Thank you Syamil. Thank you Yunus.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Meg. If you still have any questions, feel free. To the listeners, we got a few minutes left. I'm more than happy to accept any kind of questions. If you feel like asking questions, just make that request and I'll bump you up as a speaker. At the moment, for the guys who just joined us, for the listeners who just joined us, this is VC Sukan Negara or VSN2030 Amende ni. Under normal circumstances, we'll be talking about specific issues related to certain pillars. There are 6 pillars, certain pillars of VSN 2030. If you want to know more about VSN 2030, please feel free to join us at vsn2030.my. There's also a platform there where you could share your aspiration and help us shape the future of Malaysian sports. So we have another speaker interested. Yes, Shazwan Marzuki. Hi, mate. Can you hear me?
Hi. Okay.
Hello, Shazwan. Do you have any question or remark?
Aku just nak straight to the point. Basically, although aku grow up with sports, actually since small lah, apa benda sports semua lepas aku tak main, I'm very passionate about sports lah basically. But the thing is, although I'm very tech savvy, I mean aku guna social media apa benda semua, and just now Mel kata VSN start since August 20. To be honest, aku baru tahu quite recently je VSN ni. So macam apa benda ni kan, macam tak ada, there is lack of exposure lah, that's one thing lah. Although it's still canvassing punya proses apa benda semua, but I think the exposure is still very slow lah. That's the first thing. And then second thing is how you guys want to manage between elite sports and community lah, because what I mean is contohnya lah kita bagi Australia lah. Australia is a very world class in terms of
Hello, Shazwan. Man, Twitter Spaces is so unstable lah.
Unstable.
Okay, hello.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tapi I hope.
Okay,
Shazwan.
Shazwan.
Okay. Okay, second opinion aku nak cakap is how you guys manage the balance between elite and community sports lah. So what I mean is, for example, Australia, they are world class in producing Olympians, but I read recently their obesity is still increasing. So macam tak ada balance lah, walaupun diorang produce world class athletes, community side benda tu macam okay, korang punya pasal lah. Tu second. third is decentralized of sports focus lah. So I think we spend about 40 minutes on football alone. I'm football fans since small. Tak ada masalah pun. Tapi aku nampak Malaysia ni terlalu fokus about football lah Macam kita cakap apa. Bagi duit banyak benda semua still bola macam tu je lah. Tapi nak buat macam mana? This is the most watched sports lah in Malaysia. Tak ada decentralized of sports ni menyebabkan kita lack of kids ataupun
Hello.
Alamak, lost him again.
Okay, tak apa. There's Shazwan. I think we've got 3 questions from you. And then we have Freeman here as a speaker. But hold on, Freeman. Let's give the opportunity to Shamil to answer the concerns, our suspicions from Shazwan. Shamil.
Okay. One, that's an
exposure.
excellent...
Let's answer that first.
Okay. Excellent observation, bro. Firstly, aku nak bersyukur lah. I'm thankful that ada platform macam ni, which we can talk openly, honestly. Okay, for your first issue raised just now about the exposure of VC Sukan Negara ni, bro, start from actually last August tu was an internalized punya proses dulu. However, I agree with you. I totally agree with you. Memang tak cukup exposure at this very moment. Kita launch publicly was on the 7th of April. And dah 2 bulan dah sebenarnya, the public engagement. However, team Secretariat VC Sukan Negara as well as team KBS, we are fighting day and night. Fighting with blood, sweat and tears to increase the engagement. Not just for exposure numbers, not just for the KPIs, bro. Honestly, tapi kita nak dengar. Kita nak feedback macam ni. Okay. So macam benda yang sesi malam ni semua is recorded by my team, by the Secretariat of VSN. Kita dah develop ni for your info lah semua orang bukannya just cakap angin panas je. Every feedback, all the conversations are minuted, they're transcripted by the Secretariat VSN team, and dia masuk into a master punya system. So this system is a translationary system, it's a database where we use SQL, which is selective query language, to understand total banyak input ni. Ada yang marah, oh jahanam lah sport semua. Ada yang puji lebih, oh terbaik, menteri sekarang memang baik. So the two spectrum yang ekstrim ni membuatkan kita develop a system untuk baca semua ni. So we judge via frequency, via relevance of topics. So from there kita pecahkan down to secretariat dan panel yang akan melalui satu proses of challenging, of debating this thing, bergaduh lah. So I assure you guys that dalam rangkuman VSN ni kita akan improvekan insyaAllah the mileage, tapi kita juga sedang work very earnestly. Semua orang tengah bergaduh because of this, because everyone has different perspectives, but slowly we are coming to the same thing. So soalan yang kedua tu, in terms of sports the democratization ni lah, I rasa that's what you're asking about. In terms of macam bola, how kita, betul, you're right, naturally kita memang gila bola. So usually the topic will always revolve around bola. However, from a governance punya side, okay, when we talk about governance, it means that kita look at the stakeholders within the sport, daripada future proponents, future participants to current participants to past participants, and then look at the administrative punya side, then look at the industry punya side, the equipment providers, orang yang sewakan venue, orang in the business punya side tu. So what we try to do, bro, is kita sekarang ni canvas ni kita nak faham dulu. We have a blueprint punya structure, ada kerangka dia, wireframe dia. However, sekarang ni tengah proses fill in the blanks with all the feedback that we've been getting, whether aggressive or positive or negative ke apa, we take it into account and we table it out. So memang renyah memang have to gaduh lah, to go through and rangkumkan everything in a clear, concise, sensible and tangible way for it to make a difference. Jadi satu lagi benda yang aku nak bagi tahu is that this plan is bukan kita announce, bulan 10 nanti announce, okay, short sendiri, then bye-bye everyone. It's actually a living document. Dalam kalender VC Sukan Negara ni, for all the 10 years to come, there is every year ada revisit. Every year there will be challenge sessions. You know, we want our panel of observers and pemantau and all the people who will be judging the outcome, people within and outside of the ecosystem, to come back and tell us, you stupid lah, you ni salah ke apa semua. We want them to tell us that, because we will be able to understand what went wrong, how kita boleh improve, and how other more efficient methodologies can be used. So itu I hope that helps lah, because we understand that benda ni bukan final, and it needs to be developed by us now, and also let everyone participate.
Just one thing just one thing I want to share because I grew up in Shah Alam, so aku notice I think about few years ago lah kot, I'm not sure whether you guys have heard about this sport or not, but it is called Ultimate Frisbee lah. I think most of us yang duduk bandar biasa main lah. Aku rasa ataupun pernah tengok lah budak-budak main ni. I think this one maybe related to question Mac just now. Apa sukan yang start daripada community, bagi aku honestly, it's not rugby or whatever, bagi aku Ultimate Frisbee tu, from mainan macam, although it's not a Olympic sport ataupun medal sport apa benda, it's a simple sport yang bermula daripada, aku tak tahu lah dia start from when in Malaysia, but I think it was started from the UiTM community itself, because aku bukan student UiTM pun, and I noticed them play, I joined them with my friends, and that sports grew from them. So there should be some kind of push, that kind of push for other sports as well, hoki ke apa benda kan. Sebab kalau nak tanya aku, hoki, last time aku pegang kayu hoki was darjah 5 bro. So macam tak ada benda tu, tak ada push daripada community, ataupun tak ada galakan, jom kita main hoki ke, ataupun macam Ultimate Frisbee lah. Maybe now aku dah tua kot, so that's why aku dah stop lah main benda. Tapi that is the kind of simple sport yang semua boleh join, budak-budak boleh join, orang besar boleh join, orang tua boleh join, yang tak perlukan banyak duit, and community boleh join around. So the sports punya community tu boleh grow from there. This is one of the kind of sport yang bermula dari community lah bagi aku. So maybe for other sports, they can take the same approach like Ultimate Frisbee, because it was just a small, simple sport, tapi dia main kat padang, boleh main kat padang futsal. I think because of pandemic lah, orang tak boleh keluar benda semua. So aku tak tahu lah, mungkin pada you guys ke apa, should go that way to promote, not just promote lah, to cultivate the culture of sporting kat community. Benda tu sangat simple, dan aku tak tahu how that sports push, tapi maybe korang can look into it lah. This is just my opinion.
Great
Alright,
point.
thank
Great
you.
point. You just pointed out the most important part.
Thanks.
The organic punya growth tu, itu paling important.
Thanks,
bro.
Shazan.
Thanks all.
Alright, we got two more. This is the last two that we're taking, yeah, Shamil? Let's start with Priman Parameswaran. Juan, tunggu.
Hello, hi guys. Hi guys,
Hey bro.
Yes.
Hey, I just a crazy sports fans lah. VC Sukan Negara ni, I'm the biggest stumbling block for anything that we want to do is the association, because dekat Malaysia is a very simple thing. Number one, school plays important role in developing sports. Dulu aku pernah cerita dengan Syamil, masa kita kat sekolah, kita punya hari sukan is the main thing dalam kalender kita kat sekolah. Of course SPM, PMR and but hari sukan is the main thing. Can you believe now what's happening with hari sukan sekolah? Nothing. It's just another calendar. There's no excitement. I might be wrong, but this is my feeling. So sama macam sukan community. Our structure in Malaysia, like just now someone was telling about Australia. Australia is they are community based, but Malaysia we are not community based yet, but we are very, very school based. And the importance of putting sports into children start from school. But when teachers don't care about sports in school, how you want to tanamkan? So nowadays parents are no longer like those days parents. We have to work, both mom and dad need to work, need to earn the extra money, Saturday, Sunday, if the parents really wants the kids to sports, then they spend the time in sports. But most of the parents, because the parents might think there's no hope in sports, because if you ask me, 360 days, there's always negative news about sports in the country, in the newspaper, in the media and stuff like that. There's always good write up, but people only pick up the negative. So again, the VC Sukan Negara, it's a great initiative. Shamil knows about it. As long we can change the perception of the National Sports Association. It's not only National Sports Association, I think the State Sport Association. The perlembagaan dalam sukan ni kena tukar big time, big time. If not, sorry to say lah, I don't see any future dekat dalam sukan. I give you an example, Azizul. You know why Azizul is so strong? Can you imagine? Azizul was sekolah sukan Bukit Jalil punya student. Can you imagine dia belajar dekat UM and then continue cycling dekat Malaysia? Do you think we will get the same Azizul as the current Azizul? Just be truthful to all of us. Okay, with that, I want to end my this one lah. Thank you guys. I'm just a sports lover lah. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Preman. Shamil, I mean, it's interesting what Preman pointed out, mate. Is there some kind of interministerial, you know, are other ministries involved when it comes to VC Sukan Negara?
Okay, for VC Sukan Negara, Preman, thanks bro. Memang tajam. Memang thanks lah. So anyway.
Profanity, dude.
Okay.
Bro, it's for the sports. You know it's for the sports. We spoke about it.
Okay, to answer Yunus punya query dulu, yes, it is a hybrid collaboration. It is headed by Kementerian Belia dan Sukan. However, the dialogue reaches out and extends right up to education punya ministry, Ministry of International Trade, MOF, as well as the Department of Statistics. So we are seeking to achieve something that is not everything within our jurisdiction, tau Yunus. Jadi memang kita kena work very closely lah dengan especially Kementerian Pendidikan. Okay. However, ni pula touching to Preman what he said just now about the actual embedding of the culture of sports. Yeah, he just hit the nail right on the head. So hence why the profanity. Yeah, because you see everywhere else in Australia, it begins at home. That culture, that love for the sport too begins at home. Whereas in Malaysia, I don't have exact statistics, but most of the time it's not. It is from the school punya system. You know, the child does not discover, isn't given the opportunity to discover a multi-spectrum of sports punya options and alternatives. Itu something that we want to change. So how do we change that? We can't just shout at parents, cakap, hey, you guys need to teach your kids sports lah. It doesn't work that way. It is a multi-generational approach. Jadi, we want to inculcate into the parents that, you know, sports is important because of its correlation to prosperity and to health. So, that correlation can be spoken with statistics. Tapi, it is not an equation which is readily accepted. So, with the United Nations punya Sustainable Development Goals, and then we have had the punca kuasa lah, we've had the crux tau of saying what we have been saying all this while, iaitu kebahagiaan hidup adalah directly exponential to kecergasan dan kesihatan tubuh badan juga. Jadi, so itu satu lah. Sekali pula NSA, Preman. In our sixth pillar, iaitu professionalism and integrity in sports, we are recommending a host of approaches, recommending a host of plans of action, which includes, amongst many, is the engagement and the establishment of public action committee. So, short of a royal commission, we have tabled out the actual establishment of this PAC to be the badan pemantau dan juga the arbitrator to certain extent of governance and integrity punya cases and issues within Malaysian sports. So, it's been done before. Team GB has done it. Sports GB has done a whole revolution within their sporting landscape, included all their NSAs. They put forth a very strict ethical code of conduct. They put up daripada segi pemantauan in terms of observation and all this investigative and arbitrary punya body semua, they decentralize, they make sure that there were committees and commissions that all these NSAs become directly answerable to. So they tighten the noose for the first 3 years of their program. The Sports GB actually tighten the noose via funding. Ada some sports that they cut off terus until those sports fulfill a certain criteria and requirement. So basically diorang gaduh lah bro. Gaduh lah dengan NSA semua. But it was a necessary process. You know, nak buat diamond ni, kita kena ada pressure lah. Kan? Barulah rock tu pecah. So, you know, jawapan aku is, kita punya NSA sekarang ni macam diamond in the rough lah. Dia macam batu bro. Kepada batu. Kita nak kena polish sikit so that it becomes diamonds.
You sure polish sikit lah? Polish sikit atau polish banyak?
Hey, enough profanities, Syamil. I could sense it's coming from you.
No, polish sikit. You know, I'm happy to report that. Okay, but also bro, to mention, Pesuruhjaya Sukan also has a very willing, the current management has a willing attitude and probably acceptance level to understanding how we can improve the constitution within PJS punya perspective as well. So that's where we want to start as well.
Okay, Syamil, thank you very much. So the last question will be coming from Juan. Juan, shoot man.
Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum dan selamat malam semua.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam.
Nama saya Juan Budiman. Saya daripada Johor Bahru. Berkenaan tentang visi sukan negara ni, saya ada satu soalan. Saya nampak macam satu program yang baiklah. Niat tu bagus. Kan, dan saya rasa nanti at the end of you are now sekarang tengah in the planning stage where you get feedback from the people lah, basically from the community kan. And I'm thinking that at the end of this stage nanti there will be a roadmap or there will be a plan for you to achieve all those 6 pillars. You are the 6 pillars, and then how are we going to get to that 6 pillars kan by the time 2030. So it's a good initiative.
That is correct.
It's a good initiative, it's a good program, and I memang support. I have no issues. The only question that I have is that apabila you launch this program and then you commit, what happens when the government change one day nanti? I'm not saying that it will happen anytime soon, but the probability itu is there kan? And what happened to VSN the moment the government change? Nanti bila dia dah tak ada duit, government nanti dia pun nak tukar polisi, dia tukar the new minister. The new minister tak suka VSN ni, dia nak buat dia punya vision. Dia letaklah vision my vision 2050. Dia tak suka. Okay, I want to scrap because I don't like the guy yang in charge of VSN 2030. Kan? That will happen. And it has happened, it will happen again.
This is a very relevant question, Syamil. Very relevant question.
So ultimately, my question is that what assurance can you give us to me and the people or the rakyat Malaysia ni that VSN ni will set in stone? Whatever happens, whoever is in charge, kan PM 9 ke PM 10 ke, sports minister A ke, sports minister B ke, VSN will be VSN and we will get there by 2030, all the 6 pillars will be accomplished. Itu saja. Terima kasih.
Ya, Syamil, macam mana tu? Started your answer with a Go ahead, man. Take your time.
Assalamualaikum, Cik Juan. Terima kasih Cik Juan daripada Johor Bahru. That's a very good question. I think it's a very necessary topic lah. Okay, saya without sounding partisan, I am serving as a servant in the subsidiary. I am of no political affiliation. Yes, we are speaking about VSN 2030 today. However, I am allowed to express my personal views. So, my personal view from my observation as a part of the system is that it's very surprising that YB Menteri sekarang ni is someone who openly came out at the start. Bila start kita nak, when this thing was first approved last year, he already started off the journey, what we call a watershed punya moment, because kita semua realise that it's not what we assumed it was. at the start. Iaitu, dia cakap he cannot own this VC because of that very scenario that you painted just now. Because he also mentioned numerous times that, kita tak boleh that this thing become a fallacy, as something as a victim of his perceived legacy. Dia tak nak, okay? So, there are several ways that we restitute protection. Maksudnya, kita ensure that the longevity and sustainability of this roadmap, not just from a tukar minister perspective, but also from a administrative punya roadmap and compass tu, bro. Jadi, from a working level, we have ensured that this document, tadi I dah mention sikit that this is a living document. How so? Is that tiap-tiap tahun, tiap-tiap every first and third quarters of the year, kita akan revisit everything. Via the strategic implementation and plans of action tu, kita akan revisit pillar by pillar, focus area by focus area, with the actual stakeholder, with the actual, onboarders of that sector, and challenge this thing, and scrutinize the results of what we've garnered, the results that we've garnered for the perceived or for the pursuant 12 months tu. So, kita nak bergaduh, kita nak di-challenge, kita nak terbuntu pun, at some points kita buntu like, betul lah point dia, benda ni not working so well. So, how do we together frame on how to improve those plans of action? So, this dialogue ni memang bunyinya tak adalah simple sangat, but simple enough. However, Secretariat VC Sukan ni, the biggest challenge is that we have to drive this across so many people. There's so many champions of this that we need. So many stakeholders that we need to convince, that we need to inculcate and share this knowledge and this vision that we have, and ultimately to make them kita punya allies, for them to carry on this vision. Because a communications package speaking to all the rakyat is one thing, but also a communications package that speaks to all the civil servants, all the coaches, all the keranis, it will be very idealistic to say up until down to the janitors of the sports punya complexes, but yes, that's what we dream to do, bro. Kita dream to sampaikan aspirasi roadmap ni. Number one, of course, to produce a roadmap yang relevant dan boleh diterima dan boleh diguna pakai everyone. And of course, secondly, it's a roadmap that will be sustainable, that will have a legacy of positivity and result in many, many champion-type consequences. Okay, so when we talk about this CTC champion-type consequences ni, is angan-angan sebenarnya. Tapi it is an organic angan-angan. Iaitu, if we look at the entire charter of an athlete, masa diorang just born, on the first day that they are introduced to football or whatever sports, kita want to equip the parents better for them to be able to understand what is the motto punya ability of their kids, what is the character punya personification, what would they gravitate to. So, to achieve that aja in the first 3 to 4 years of their life tu, kita nak kena share out with the community lah, on what is talent identification, what is development, how do you praktikkan pengetahuan ni kepada anak-anak you dan juga ahli-ahli keluarga you sendiri. So this is the culturalization of sports yang I speak about. Nak attain that tu gila. Daripada TV station right down to professors, right down to influencers, all the people inside this room, korang bila korang tweet, you Instagram something, you Clubhouse apa semua, the things that you say about sport, that is the culturalization, the positive pembudayaan that we are seeking. So this town hall malam ni, berborak pasal ni pun, this is to me already a small successful notch already, because I've managed to increase the curiosity of everyone and to hopefully embed and incept the idea of that kita nak improvekan kita punya local sports and everyone has a part to play.
Alright, thank you, Shamil. Juan, I hope that answers your question. I hope. I think this is my perspective. I think when it comes to guarantee on whether or not this is something that's going to be set on stone, it's very hard for us to make these kinds of guarantees, mate. But what we can tell you is the journey and the experience that we gain from creating this blueprint is what we want at the end of the day. Actually, it's the enculturalization of sports, and having people like yourself and everyone here to listen and to participate and talk about this. This is going to create a sporting community that will develop itself organically with or without the blueprint. So I think that's the end goal that we want with VSN 2030. VSN 2030 is just a platform that facilitates or oils this entire process. But what we want to see, if it can happen organically, that's even something magical. All right, that's the last question. I got a request from Wak Kenali, but sorry, Wak Kenali, we've already reached the time limit. I'm really sorry. However, to everyone who's listening, we're going to have a clubhouse session this Sunday. Shamil is coming. It will be on board as well. Same topic, so we can continue grilling Shamil with more, tough questions for him to answer and explore. I think it's a good thing. Really, it's a really, really good thing that we're having these types of questions being thrown because it really helps the organizing committee to enrich further the canvassing process. All right, thank you very much. Again, if you guys have already have some kind of aspiration that you would like to share, that you've been sharing, but you want to make sure that it's embedded within our records, feel free to visit us at VSN2030.my. There's a platform where you guys could share your aspirations and help shape Malaysian sports. Thank you very much for tuning in. Make sure to join us at Clubhouse on Sunday. As always, VSN 2030 Twitter Spaces will also be online next week, Friday, and the topic is related to Sports Hub. And if I'm not mistaken, we have a stellar lineup, including YB on Kiang Ming. So stay tuned and have a good weekend, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much and have a good evening.